You open your banking app. You see the number. You promised yourself you would not spend this month. And yet, somehow, you already have. You tell yourself you have no self-control. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do 300,000 years ago in a world that no longer exists. Back then, saving made no sense. Food rotted, shelters collapsed. Tomorrow was never guaranteed. If you found a surplus of meat, the smartest thing to do was eat it now, share it now, use it now. A brain that hoarded resources for a future that might never come was a brain that starved today for nothing. So evolution built you a simple rule. Want it, get it, enjoy it. Worry about tomorrow when tomorrow arrives. That rule kept your ancestors alive. But it was never designed for a world with bank accounts, credit cards, and 30-year mortgages. It was designed for a world where the only currency was calories, and the only investment that mattered was the next 12 hours. Psychologist Walter Mischel spent decades studying this exact tension. In his famous experiments with children and marshmallows, he found something remarkable. The ability to wait for a bigger reward later instead of grabbing a smaller one now was not just a personality trait. It was a skill, and it was wildly unevenly distributed. Some children could wait 15 minutes without flinching. Others lasted 30 seconds before the marshmallow was gone. The difference wasn't intelligence. It was how loudly each child's brain was shouting, "Now, now, now." Here's the strange part. As adults, you still have that voice. It never left. It just changed its name. Now it sounds like, treat yourself. It sounds like, you deserve this. It sounds like, you can start saving next month. That voice isn't weakness. It's 300,000 years of survival instinct, wearing a hoodie and holding your phone. So why does saving feel like a fight? Because biologically it is one. Every time you choose to put money away instead of spending it, you are overriding a system that evolved specifically to prevent exactly that kind of delay. You are not lazy. You are ancient. But the story gets stranger still. Because it's not just about wanting things now. It's about how your brain feels about losing things, period. In the late 1970s, psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky ran a series of experiments that would eventually win a Nobel Prize. They discovered something they called loss aversion. Losing $100 feels almost twice as painful as gaining $100 feels good. Your brain doesn't weigh gains and losses equally. It weighs losses much, much heavier. Now think about what saving money actually is from your brain's point of view. It is not gaining financial security. It is losing spending power right now, today, for a reward you cannot see, touch, or feel. Every time you transfer money into savings, your ancient threat detection system registers it the same way it would register dropping food into a hole you can't reach. Something just disappeared. And disappearing things, to a brain built for scarcity, are dangerous. This is why willpower alone almost never works. You are not fighting laziness. You are fighting a deeply wired alarm system that interprets your own savings account as a loss. Have you ever wondered why a treat-yourself purchase feels so good in the moment and so hollow an hour later? That gap between instant feeling and long-term outcome has a name too. Economist Richard Thaler spent much of his career studying what he called mental accounting, the strange, illogical ways people categorize money in their heads. A dollar is not just a dollar to your brain. A dollar from your paycheck feels different from a dollar won in a raffle, which feels different from a dollar saved on a sale. Thaler showed that people will happily blow a surprise bonus on something frivolous, while refusing to touch their real savings for the exact same purchase, even though the money is identical. Your brain doesn't see numbers, it sees stories. And the story it tells about extra money is, spend me, I'm not really yours. This is also why budgeting apps so often fail within a few months. They assume the problem is information. They assume that if you just see the numbers clearly enough, you will make better choices. But your ancestors didn't survive by analyzing spreadsheets. They survived by reacting to immediate signals: hunger, opportunity, threat. A graph showing your projected retirement savings in 30 years produces almost no emotional signal at all, because 30 years, to a brain shaped by a species that rarely lived past 40, might as well be infinity. So if your brain is working against you, is there any way to actually win? Here's the twist. The most successful approaches to saving money don't fight your ancient brain. They trick it, gently, using its own rules. Behavioral economists like Thaler helped popularize a concept called save more tomorrow. Instead of asking people to cut their spending today, which triggers that loss aversion alarm immediately, the program asks people to commit to saving more starting with their next raise, a future event that hasn't happened yet. The brain doesn't register a future raise as a current loss. There's nothing to defend. And when the raise actually arrives, the increased saving happens automatically, before the money ever feels like yours in the first place. This works because it sidesteps the alarm entirely. You're not taking something away from your brain. You're simply redirecting something it never got to claim as its own. The same principle explains why automatic transfers work so much better than manual ones. The moment you have to consciously click Move Money to Savings, your ancient brain sees it happening and protests. But if the transfer happens the instant your paycheck lands, before you ever see the full number, there's no loss to register. The money was never there to lose. Notice the pattern. None of this requires more discipline. It requires understanding what your brain actually responds to and working with that instead of against it. There's one more piece of this puzzle, and it might be the strangest of all. Researcher George Ainsley studied something called hyperbolic discounting, the tendency for the value of a future reward to shrink dramatically the further away it sits. A reward 10 years from now feels almost worthless compared to the same reward today, even if the actual amount is identical. But here's the strange part. This discounting isn't smooth. It's steepest for the near future and flattens out the further you go. The difference between today and tomorrow feels enormous. The difference between 10 years and 11 years feels like nothing at all. This is why people who successfully build long-term savings often describe a strange shift. At some point, the distant future stops feeling abstract and starts feeling almost as real as next week. Once your brain stops treating retirement or a home or financial freedom as some foggy hypothetical and starts treating it as a fixed point on a map, the loss aversion that once worked against saving starts working for it. Suddenly, not saving feels like the loss. That shift doesn't happen through willpower. It happens through repetition, through seeing the number grow, through small, consistent proof that the future is real and reachable. Your brain doesn't believe abstract promises. It believes evidence. So the next time you open that banking app and feel that familiar tug, the one that whispers, "Spend it, you'll figure out savings later," remember what's actually happening. You are not weak. You are not bad with money. You are a 300,000-year-old survival machine reacting to a modern world it was never built for. The good news is that the same brain that sabotages your savings can be redirected, not through force, but through small, almost invisible shifts. Automatic transfers instead of manual ones. Future commitments instead of present sacrifices. Small, visible proof instead of distant promises. You open your banking app, you see the number, and this time, instead of guilt, you feel something else. Not because your brain changed, but because finally you stopped fighting it and started working with the ancient machine you've been carrying all along.